Hey there, this is Kermit the Streamer. We're doing another Path of Exile 2 video here. Going back to our witch build just to see how that goes. You'll note here I got a bunch of other characters that I've been fiddling with. My favorite is the Pathfinder. It's awesome. I'm doing really good on that. Just getting to the point where I can do Chaos Trials, which is pretty cool. I haven't successfully completed one of those yet, but here we go. Let's go with our witch. We're at level 4. I'll be doing early game content. We are going with a sort of more minion focused build. One of the things I'm hoping they fix, I don't know if it's really a fix, in this next patch that's coming out on the 12th, is that the tooltips for minions and stuff display properly. Because it looks like right now, when I've added my talents to my tree, they're supposed to apply both to my witches spells and my minion damage. And sure, my minions don't do a lot of damage, so 8% to their damage doesn't really stack up much until you've taken a bunch of traits or talents for that. It just feels like it's not actually displaying though. Like I think I've dropped 30 points into it so far and haven't seen the damage values go up at all. So there's just something probably wrong with how their tooltip is reporting what the minions are doing. Hopefully that's a thing they address. If it is not, it may be something that I pop over in a forum. I'm sure I wouldn't be the first person to notice that because I'm not the biggest dork in the world. There's definitely people that would be obsessing over that more than I do. But it is a thing I noticed, so it's definitely worth mentioning. And you never know. For every time somebody does have a question or bring something like that up, there's probably 10 people that just go, oh, that's just the way it is, and they don't do anything. So I like to be somebody that tries to be proactive about that sort of thing and make sure that I tell people. So that is what we're going to try to do. I do like that even though I'm playing on solo self-found for this character, which means I can only use the things that I find in game, I still get to use my stash tabs for like special resources and stuff, so that's good. If you're buying any premium items for your character, you do still get access to those, and that's really important. I'm glad that they do that. This I forgot to do at the end of my last session. For killing that worm, Renly gives you a skill gem. It's a support gem. So what did I want to do first? Something to enhance contagion would be nice. And oh, this is a great time to go over how skill gems work. So what you'll notice whenever you pull these up is you're going to notice green ones, you're going to notice blue ones, and you're going to notice red ones. What does that mean? Well, if we look at the thing here, support requirements, +5 dex. So if we go back to our beginning attributes, we've got 12 points in strength, 7 points in dexterity, 15 points in intelligence. And this is based on, I think, some of my items too are giving me some bonuses there too. Yeah, the gloves gave me some extra strength. I have nothing that's giving me extra dexterity, but I do have some extra intelligence somewhere. Where is that extra intelligence? No, I guess not. I guess I've just gotten that as I've gone. Oh yeah, I think it's from a talent. Is where that extra intelligence comes from. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Maybe we just start with 15 on a necromancer. Probably so. I think we start with 15. That's right. It was 7, 7, 15 is our starting on this particular character. So what that means is, as this character progresses, right now, as long as my strength is 12, I can have up to 2 strength gems at the same time. That's 2 strength gems spread across my entire thing. Now, this is an intelligence-based character, so strength gems are going to be super rare for me to find. They're going to be somewhat, depending on what the abilities are, they're going to be powerful and they're going to be sought after and they're going to be desired. So, you know, one of the ways you may have played a character like this in the past in a previous RPG is that you would stack everything into, say, intelligence, and you'd focus on that. Well, in this game, one of the ways that it kind of rewards you for not doing that, and one of the ways that makes it necessary to not do that, is that you're going to have some cool stuff in your strength gems that you're going to want to have. You're going to have cool items you want to equip, and you're going to have cool skills that you want to use, and so that's going to, at sometimes, make you want to choose these attribute bonuses to give you the ability to use those special enhancements for your abilities. So one of the things that I do really love about this passive skill tree is that the way it's set up, no matter how you go, it's very easy at any point that you want to go over there and grab the attributes. You know, I've got access to this at any point. I can go along this track and fill up my attributes. If I come up here and get this thing, which I do want to get, it's going to be giving me my intelligence, which gives me better access to all of my abilities for my character, but then it also gives me 2 extra intelligent skill gems. Most of my skill gems are probably going to be intelligent skill gems, so the fact that as I do the things I want to do anyway, I'm getting some bonus intelligence for doing those is nice. But then if it's not enough for any reason, I can always pop over here. Once I'm down this part of the track, I could always, you know, boost my defense and come over here, Eventually, as I move up to this part of the tree, which is where I'm currently wanting to go, then I've got access to another node that gives me attribute points. So at any point during the game, if I want attributes, I can get them, and it also will be progress towards one of my other goals on the tree, whatever that goal may be. So I really like that about how they've designed that skill tree. I don't know how much time they spent doing it, but they've done a pretty good job, it looks like. So back to what we were talking about, was the skill gems. So I don't have a particular thing in mind at the moment. I just know that I need to watch out. If I want a dexterity one or I want a strength one, I want to make sure that it's one that I think is really good and is really going to give me a bonus to my character. So I think what I want to do right now is I'm going to make my snipers a little bit stronger, I think. So I think the best thing to do is probably corrosion. But let me check real quick before I go in there and see if the skeletal sniper provides poison as a default attack. I don't think they do, so it may not be a good idea to take that first. Yeah, we only actually we don't even poison when we hit with the gas arrow. We just do a bunch of extra damage. It causes an explosion. So we actually, before we can get corrosion and have it be useful on our snipers, we would need to have some ability that makes me poison first. So that means that the best thing to go right now... Oh, shoot. Comorbidity doesn't even give us poison as a thing. So we don't have any way to actually apply poison to a character. So both comorbidity and corrosion kind of don't matter right now. There are things that we probably are going to want later. But that means that we're not doing anything, I don't think, to update our skeletal sniper right now. We could make our minions survive a little bit more. They're going to deal less damage, which sounds like a not cool thing with getting meat shield for our Chaos Warriors. This is nice. Minion instability. When they are about to die, they explode, and they'll deal 15% of their maximum life. So what is our maximum life on our Skeletal Warriors? Right now, minion info, maximum life, where is that going to be? Accuracy rating, maximum life, 69. 15% of 69, oh, I can't do that math, but I can tell you what 10% is, and I can tell you what half of 10% is. 10% is about 7. Half of 10% is about 3.5. So if they're going to do 15% of their damage, their maximum life damage, then it's going to be 7 plus 3.5. Take away a little for the rounding that I did. So it's going to be about 10 damage, give or take. Now, as their life increases, that damage is going to kind of get bigger. So that one of the things that's cool about that, whoops, hit the wrong thing, is there were some things that I ignored. So this 10% increase in maximum life now is looking a whole lot better, because it's going to also, if I take that minion instability, it's also going to increase the amount of damage every time my guys explode. So that's actually pretty cool. We've got kind of an incentive for if we were to do that. Now, I don't think that's what I'm going to do right now, so I don't think that that's actually the ability I want to take. I think what we're going to do is we're going to look at Chaos Bolt and see what we can do with Chaos Bolt. Withering Touch. Withering, I believe, applies... It applies a debuff, I think, that makes them take more chaos damage. Since that's our primary source of damage from our wand, that would be pretty nice. Also, Contagion does chaos damage, I believe. So let's check that just to be sure. Contagion does chaos damage per second. So if I've got a stack of Withered on a target, then it actually increases that damage just a little bit. It's something like a 10%, so since decimals do matter, it does add up over time. So that's going to be one of those things that first point is not really going to be a big deal. So, not now. I have put this on my guy later on in the skill tree, and when it does a lot more damage. It's a great way to just increase the tick that you're doing on bosses. Chain doesn't seem like it's a good idea right now. That allows our attacks to hit one more target. The only problem is it'll hit another target, but it'll hit that target for 50% less damage, which is not great when we're doing so little damage. Our damage may be chaos damage, but it's still small. So a chain effect is not great. Same with Pierce, I don't think. Again, that's going to be another thing that lets us hit multiple targets that are in a line, but with less damage. So that's less good unless we have some sort of debuff that we're applying. Like, it's pretty interesting if you've got both Chain, Pierce, and Withering Touch together, or one or the other together with Withering Touch, because then you're applying that extra debuff to everything. So then let's look at maybe going with Contagion, and I think what I want to do is go ahead and get Persistence. That's a strength, skill, support, and that makes us do 40% more duration on Contagion. So that just makes that the amount of time that this ticks is going to be a little bit longer. So it went from, let's take it off. So it goes 7 seconds right now. It went from 7 seconds, or from 5 seconds to 7 seconds. So 2 more seconds, which is 4 damage every time I've got a second Contagion. And because of the fact that that whole thing happens with Contagion, where when it spreads, it's more powerful, that's actually going to be a lot more damage over time to all of the things that are on the screen that are causing us a headache. So I think that's probably the best thing we can do right now. Again, this game is played out in increments, small little bits of damage. See, every time I increase this thing, that Contagion stuff is going to go up by a point or two. Every time I do something else to enhance the power of that, it's going to go up by a point or two. So we're going to get to the point there to where these tiny little things we've done each time we level or each time we get a new ability or skill will start to add up. And, you know, they add up as you level and improve your character. So that's what my goal is these tiny little nudges that are just going to make me get more and more strong as we progress through the game. So we need to go to the Grellwood now, so we're going to go here. I'm going to go grab coffee while this loads. I'll be right back. It's okay, we have your remedy. All right. So here we go. We got our minions. We're on our way to doing some stuff. We're going to go ahead and kill some stuff, get some more experience, do the thing that you do as the witch. So we see our Contagion going. I haven't even been using Unearth. Oh yeah, the other thing that we added was we added Flame Wall. One of the things we can do with this is we can put this Flame Wall in front of our archer, and every time he shoots a arrow through that Flame Wall, it's going to get an added little bit of damage from the Flame Wall. And then we can also use our Gas Arrow, and that causes an instant ignition if it touches anything that's walked through that flame, or near that flame. And it just does a ton of extra damage. That's just going to be a nice little way to tick some more damage on bosses, I think, really, more than anything. Especially bosses that have adds that come into the fight. We'll go ahead and kill this lady here. I don't know if she gives you more experience or anything special for doing her again, but let's get some pets. Oh, that's weird. She didn't give me the pets this time. All of my minions got killed. Gonna bring her down here. Oh, we got an orange. That'll just be worth some money. We got an orb of transmutation. Those are good to just stack up. What did we find? Oh, that's a good one for a roguish person. Broadhead Crow. Dang, that would be really cool if we were playing a ranger. This, you know, something like this might make you change your build a little bit. Like, I didn't actually play a cold-focused ranger, but something like this could be a compelling reason to do that, because your extra 7% of damage is extra cold damage. That's going to add up like massively over time. Whenever you see something that adds a percentage, it's going to be small in the early game, but once you've leveled up your character, once you've given all of your extra little nudges to your character's abilities, like that becomes pretty decent. I'm not sure about this, but I think that the chill magnitude is talking about how often you get a little mini stun from a chill strike, from a cold based attack, basically. But I'm not sure about that. So that would be good if we had that kind of character. Since this is solo self-found, though, that's just going straight to the vendor or getting disenchanted. I actually need to check that out. I don't know whether it's a good idea to disenchant things or sell things. I'm going to be pragmatic and go ahead and disenchant the orange, because I'm guessing that orange resource that you get is going to be a little bit less common than, say, the stuff you get for disenchanting blues. It just seems like you always find that stuff. Oranges and yellows are just a tad bit more rare. I haven't seen there be an issue with finding cool items, though. Like, finding cool items that your character can use seems to be more the thing. And I mean, that's just a complaint everybody has about these kind of games. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think I kind of like the randomness of it all. Because then when I do get a thing that's cool, like, it's that much cooler. Because I got a thing that's really cool for my character. True, you start to feel after a while like you just picked up 20 things and none of them are good. But you get your 11th club for a barbarian and you just never even get a barbarian. Exacerbated by the fact that this is solo self-found, so like anything I find for another character is just dumb. But I still think that's just way more fun interacting. If you don't think so, you've got your opinion. Enjoy it. I don't have anything against you. So we've just got lots of little contagion spreading scorpions with our little army. This actually, I mean, this is one of my favorite ways to play through this, because your minions are doing just a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Like, they're killing things, they're spreading contagion, they're just doing everything you need, and you're taking care of maybe threats that are getting through them, or anything that's a little bit, you know, more resilient. This forest is full of these little werewolf creatures. This is the first zone that I really kind of like the look and feel of. I can't really hear it that well, but I'm not a big fan, I don't think, of the music for this zone. But they've got some really nice music in some of the other zones in the game. Actually, most of Act 2 has some really cool music. They did do really well, I think, just in general with the sound design of just like all the monsters and things. And The voice acting is okay, better than I've seen in a lot of other games, especially mobile games. God. We do want to go to the Red Veil, but right now we need to actually find a reason to go there. Because right now we're looking for basically this evidence of the Count's activities. The quest tracker doesn't really give us a lot of insight in this game. It's one thing that hopefully they'll improve. I don't know. It just seems like there's a push in this game to get through the main storyline, and you're not really dwelling on the main storyline that much. Because basically every quest is go here, kill this thing, go here, collect these items so that you can forge this thing. You know, it's all your basic kind of MMO RPG kind of quests, and it's not really there so much for story. It's there to just progress. Most of the time, you're not getting anything important from your quests. You're just getting the ability to tick your skills up a bit more, and you're leveling. That's all you're looking to do with a game like this. I can definitely see with Diablo, one of the things that you're pushed towards doing is getting a cool cutscene, getting some sort of cool storyline. But I really think that they tried to do that ever since Diablo 3, and I don't think he's really truly succeeded. So I prefer this. Let's just hack and slash. Let's do this stuff. I prefer the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance kind of approach to an action RPG, which is, we know what we're here to do. We're here to kill hordes of minions and have an interesting character that has some maybe cool dialogue and cool abilities. That's what this is. That's what we're here to do. And I'd say that the thing that PoE does really great is just your abilities are just so neat, and they combo really interestingly, and your talents are so neat. I'm not even using this character to the best of my ability right now. Like, I'm not making sure that I got my flame wall up. I could be going a lot faster, for instance. Like, usually when I'm running my main witch, I'm just running through these maps. Like, I'm exploring them like ridiculously quickly and getting straight to the bosses. Because that's what this build allows you to do. You can just mow down hordes of enemies with nothing when you're doing all of your stuff in the right order, at least. There's our waypoint, and there's our tree. We're looking for this tree so we can target Una, and she says, "Oh, you need to go to the Red Veil and get something."
There is a battle when you will know. I'll wait here.
Great time to do a passive skill point here. Check to see what somebody messaged me, see what this is about. Okay, cool. Alright, so continuing with our original plan, we're going to do a little bit extra spell damage.
Old magics will protect me.
We went up, I think, a point on our Chaos Bolt from doing that. And what should have happened too is that we should have gone up possibly a point or a half on the damage for our minion. Maybe it's actually tracking here. I don't remember if that had gone up to 3 before. The other thing that's really going to make that go really well or start to look better is when the actual skill gem itself levels up, because those incremental gains are going to broaden out a little bit. That 8% is really going to matter when your starting damage is higher. When your starting damage is double, that 8% really starts to go off. So I just picked up an Ashen Staff. That's kind of like the primary weapon for a sorcerer class. There's nothing that's stopping me from using that. I could become a fireball throwing necromancer. And there is a build that supports that. I think it's kind of a later in the game build, like an Act 2, Act 3 build, maybe even later. Because we can kind of double dip with our skills. There are a lot of sorcerer skills that we're going to be able to go for if we want them, because we're going to be an intelligence-based class. Hopefully I'll get a chance to kind of showcase that a little bit. Because, you know, so far I've taken Flame Wall. I could go into other, you know, flame type stuff, and if I'm going Infernalist, I probably will do so. There's a version of things where we end up being kind of an explosion mage. So having something like Ashen Staff as our primary attack might appeal to us, especially if we're putting points into things that boost fire damage. But right now, I think through most of Act 1, chaos damage really is kind of the best thing. There's not hardly any bosses or hardly any minions and things that you fight to this stage of the game that are going to have chaos resistance. You might run across like a random boss or something. But for the most part, chaos damage just does, especially at this phase of the game, more like pure damage than anything else. And that's kind of why, like, all of your starting abilities with the Necromancer start off with a very slow damage, or very low numbers on the damage, is because it chews through energy shields, and also almost all of that damage gets applied to your target. Because it's going against chaos resistance, which armor doesn't even protect against, you know. So these enemies that you might fight early game that have high armor, that's going to be affected by your physical damage, like your unearthed style abilities, but your wand is doing all of its damage. And that's not true for the other classes. Sure, they may be dealing 20 damage per attack, but, you know, there's a 30% chance that it misses entirely, because that thing you're attacking might have a, you know, 30% evasion chance. It's probably lower than that for most of Act 1, but get my drift. I'm trying to make a point. Cooking, as they say. And then, you know, 30% of that could go from the armor that they got. So that 20 damage quickly becomes either a missed attack or a lot less damage. So it's going to be, actually, when you apply all the defenses and things, it's going to be pretty comparable to 5 chaos damage. Or in this case, I think what I'm up to now with my talents is 14 chaos damage. So it's all going to scale, and it's going to be, you know, it's going to be relative. There is going to be a point, though, where we're going to face monsters that have higher chaos resistance, and that's the point when it starts to be difficult as the witch. Now, hopefully, at that point, you're converting your character to become focused on, you know, fire damage, or you've got your minions sort of diversifying the amount of output that you're giving towards, you know, combining some sort of elemental damage with the chaos damage, so that when you do come across those chaos resistant guys, well, that's nice that you've got chaos resistance. Can you handle my cold attacks? You know, that sort of thing. So you're just making it to where you're kind of a jack of all trades. You know, you're not doing a ton of damage with one type of attack. You're doing a pretty decent amount of damage with a bunch of different types of attacks, all of which are hard to have defenses in across the board, you know. Try gas. Oh, whoops! I meant to do a gas arrow first, just to see what happens with that, because I haven't actually successfully got myself to do that yet. Alright, let's do a gas arrow, then we'll do a flame wall. Nothing ignited, or at least if it happened, I didn't see it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's getting wiped out too quick. Oh, it's still on cooldown. I guess he won't do it unless there's an active target. Let's see. Okay, we hit that with a gas arrow. Let's see. Take a wore off before I could get my stuff together here. Let's try another one. I'm not seeing it do its thing. Maybe that's not functioning the way it's supposed to. When I do that with my Pathfinder, like, it's very visible. Like, you see the explosion, and you see just the health bars go drop from that sudden explosive poison burst. But I wasn't really seeing anything there, so I don't know if it's actually functioning the way it's supposed to. Maybe I'm hitting the wrong button. No, I'm hitting the right button. I'm gonna have to do some reading on that, see if it's not functioning the way it's supposed to. I do have a skill point to use. This is exciting, this particular skill point, because it's going to be my first, like, my medium node. This is going to give me a huge bump in intelligence, and a nearly 20% boost in all of my damage outputs, which is a good time to check Skill to Warrior, look at basic attack, see if that went up. Yeah, see, look, this didn't go up at all. It should have, you know, if the thing was working appropriately, 20% at this point should have been enough to take us up a point, especially when we've got 8%, 8%, 8%. So I don't think that's working the way it's supposed to. My Cans build is still doing what it's supposed to. It's going up a point every time. Unearth should be going up nearly a point every time. Flame Wall went up quite a bit because it does a lot of damage just on the outset. Contagion should be doing a little bit more per tick too. Instead of being just basically 14 and some change, it should be a bit more now. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up while we're doing this fight. Let's see here. Yeah, it jumped up from 2.1 to 2.6 per second, and at a 7-second interval, that's like almost 20 damage. 20 damage over 7 seconds. You got to remember with Contagion, the big thing is that every time it spreads, it increases, it like doubles in damage. So it goes bonkers. You don't really, there's too much happening on the screen at the same time. So probably the most impactful thing I could do right now with this level 2 skill gem is either boost my Unearth, my Sniper. This makes it cheaper, so I get closer to having a second Sniper. I think it's actually going to be Contagion. Contagion, certainly during Act 1, Contagion is probably your primary damage dealer. It's happening at a rate that's just insane, especially if you're managing your skills properly. The fact that it's doubling is just so huge. So now we're doing 3.5 damage per second with Contagion. So remember to do it. Remember, if it spreads, that doubles to like 7 damage per second. Or is it... Hold on. Maybe I should read that again just to make sure I'm not misinforming. More damage. 100% more damage. So yeah, it is 100% more damage. I don't know what the 300%... Oh, the maximum. I see. It only ever goes up to 3 times as much. So per spread, it just gets insane. That matters for wave clear. Doesn't matter so much for boss clear, but it matters hugely for clearing all those guys that you come across that are in a big clump. And then the other thing I wanted to check, if we're doing 7 seconds, so our grand total for damage is, big nerd, 24 to 25 points of damage over that 7 seconds. And so our maximum, if it spreads that third time, is 85 damage, 85-ish damage, give or take. May have rounded a little bit there. But that's just going to chew through the bad guys. And then remember, that's all chaos damage. That's damage that is only going to be mitigated by chaos resistance. It ignores armor and it eats through energy shield at double. So priority 2. So it's just big game. We've got our little dudes here spreading the contagion. Things die, spread the contagion. It's just insane. So you can get to the point very quickly where you're just pulling the entire map and just running through these maps. It's just, I found it really great for leveling. You're just always, when you're playing as optimally as possible, you are always taking up your experience, killing bad guys, having a skill point that you need to spend, putting our dot all over the table, everywhere we can. This is the point where I might consider putting some points into chaining on my wand too, because it's now dealing 15, so dealing a little bit less per hit is less of a big deal, especially when I've got contingent spreading out here. So that's definitely on my list of possible things to grab at my next level up or skill up, which I already have that in my inventory. I just haven't taken the time to go apply it yet. Not even using flame wall. And that's the other thing I find about this game is that, like, when you do dip into other parts of the tree, like, sometimes it may kind of be a waste to do that. Like, if you can't get that into your routine of what you're going to do and what you're going to use, then don't feel bad. Just make either make the conscious effort to use the abilities that you selected, or change them out for something else. You're not bound to do the thing, and actually, I really do think this game rewards you for changing your playstyle from time to time, especially when you get to a point where something that was working really well through Act 1 just doesn't seem to be doing its job. If you were to look really closely at things that are happening, like, you might find out that everything you've built towards is being resisted against, because all the enemies in Act 2 are, you know, chaos resistant. They're not, but let's just say they were, hypothetically. You wouldn't know that until you started playing and noticed, oh geez, I'm not clearing the levels out like I used to. And sometimes those kind of changes happen halfway through the act. Like, you'll come to just one zone where everything is really, like, capable against your abilities. Plus, you know, things like movement speed. Enemies that jump around and burrow and do all sorts of crazy stuff might be just a lot harder to hit with your dang spells. And I'm not even talking about, like, an attack that fails against evasion. I'm talking about you cannot click on the thing to do the damage if it's moving around like Yoda on speed. You know, sometimes changing your abilities to be something that you don't have to, you know, click on your targets might be a big win. There's a witch spell later on that just gives a DOT for anything that's in your presence. That might be a thing that's better against certain enemies that do exactly what I'm describing. We have an ability just like the witch ability from the first zone that deals a bunch of damage in a circle, but it takes a little bit of time before it fires, and because of that, like, that ability, you know, for certainly some zones it's not great. Like right here, being able to plant a little circle and do a ton of damage inside that circle would be fantastic. These are slow moving enemies, they're zombies, so that's great. For some of the bosses, that's great, because they've got big, like, what do they call that? Like hitboxes, basically. That kind of ability is great for that kind of enemy, but not so good on things that move around a lot and can sort of dodge just by nature of the fact that they're shifty. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply this support gem. So I believe right now we only have one. Yeah, we only have access to one more strength gem, but we may not have a need. Our abilities that we have, okay, we could get Brutality on Unearth. Boost physical damage, which would actually be pretty good. That's going to boost 30% more damage to Unearth. So let's look at Unearth real quick. It's doing 9, it says on our tooltip, total damage. So 30% to that. Let's just say this is 10. That's adding 3, basically. It's going to be more like 2.75 or something. But that's going to jump that up to 12 damage. And the reason why that would be, you know, like a consideration is because if this does more damage, it kills more things, it summons more bone constructs. That's just going to be a good thing. It's also going to scale every time we drop that 8% talent from our passive talent tree. That's going to add up. I keep hitting K instead of, I must be playing WoW in my head. But every time we move up this damage track, especially here when we get to the 10% physical damage, 18% physical damage, that's going to affect Unearth more than it affects any other spell that we have. So it gets to where that could be pretty good. I don't think that's actually what I'm going to do though. What do we want with that skill gem? Minion Pact. I've never gotten Minion Pact before, so that's interesting. I think we're going to just go ahead and do Minion instability now. It's just when our skeletons are going to die, which is going to happen a bit more because we're getting to the point where we're going to start facing just a little bit more difficult guys halfway through the act. A third of the way through the act, I guess we could say. Probably less than that, really. But that's just going to make them do a little bit of damage. They're dying pretty frequently right now. We'll probably put some points to try and boost their survivability a little bit, but in a weird way, we kind of want them to die. Like, I'm reminded of Heroes of Might and Magic, and old one used to play, and the Necromancer class in that had a saying called Asha uses all. Their god was Asha, and Necromancy was basically using all of your resources, all of your material, and even in death, you find a way to make something do extra damage or do what you're trying to accomplish. So if we're having our minions die, they're going to explode, and they're going to take something with them. Often many something with them. And it just adds to that overall chaos that we're dealing with, all of these damage over time abilities, just ticking, adding little points here, little points there, just over and over. Just going to make sure that I keep applying contagion to this guy. It's not the contagion spread, so it's not the glorious extra damage that we really want to be doing, but it's still consistently bringing down that life total. One thing to notice about whenever you're fighting these bosses is that you can see the damage output here on the right side of their health bar. As a witch, you always want to see that number just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's how you're doing all this extra damage to them. And you're just bringing them down. It might be a little bit longer than something that does, like, high damage per strike, like, say, a warrior or something. But if it's continually ticking down, it's continually ticking down, and you're progressing, so... I wonder, I don't actually know if Chaos Bolt gets the damage from moving through the flame wall. It should. I just don't know for a fact if it does. So that's actually nice. So theoretically, we're also enchanting our Chaos Bolt to where it is dealing a little bit of fire damage. Also, anything that walks through that fire damage, I think, takes an additional damage over time from the fire, from the flame. They've basically been ignited. So we're gonna pick up all those items because they're gonna be valuable to sell back in camp. By the way, that was our boss that gives us the thing that we need for the next advance. On each one of those little totems that we found gave us a piece that Renly's going to use to forge spikes that we stick into that tree to get the hooded one down from that tree. Hooded one is our first guy that identifies items for us too. So we'll stop needing these scrolls of wisdom in the same way. We can use them when we're out in the world, but we won't really need them for when we're identifying goods. So I think we decided last time we played that we were going to stick our armor pieces on our hands and feet, and we were going to go with evasion on our hood and energy shield on our body. That's how I'm going to work it for now, until I either read or just experience that it's better for me to do something else. So I'm going to go ahead and take this hewn mask here, because we're only sacrificing essentially 1 point of evasion rating, but we're gaining a little bit more energy shield, and we're getting +5 to our dexterity, which is going to be a overall slight bonus to our accuracy rating, and it's going to allow us to equip more dexterity gems. This is a piece that I'm looking to replace pretty quickly, but we got something slightly, you know, arguable whether it's better. It's just it could be better. This is also interesting here, the helmet, because it does give us some fire resistance. I don't recall there being a lot of need for fire resistance in the first act. Second act, there's a lot, if I remember right. So yeah, chance orb. That seems like something that you don't just pick up very often. At least not in Act 1 or 2.
I like to hold on to
I've
it.
only
It's
just
beautiful. I accept.
I've only just kind of gotten into Act 3 with my primary character. Bone Blast is an interesting spell. I don't really care for it. We may find out later that we just pissed something away that was really good. We sold our other stuff. We'll go ahead and grab this ring because we don't... Oh no, we can't afford it. We're playing solo self-found. Never mind. Uncut skill gem. This is our level 3 spell. This Arsonist is a nice upgrade from the Sniper. It's much stronger. Essence Strain is kind of a nice upgrade from our base weapon attack. It does 9. It basically doubles our chaos damage, and it also does it also applies a damage over time buff. 2. Base critical hit chance is 7%. That's gonna be modified by our skills that we pick up. I didn't even look at Enfeeble before. They deal less damage. That's an interesting one against bosses. So it lowers their damage. That's interesting. I wonder if I had played through with that when I started to have trouble with bosses, if that would have been good. Because 10% of a huge hit can be a lot. It could be the difference between it chewing through your energy shield and or eating your entire life total when something's dealing a really big hit. We don't want any of these abilities, so it's definitely an occult ability. I think we're going to go ahead and grab Essence Strain. And yeah, so that jumps us up to 24 DPS. And our damage over time, it's a 4-second duration, 22, so that adds up to 80 damage. So we're basically dealing 100 damage with this attack. That's loads better than our Chaos Bolt attack. So the interesting thing about that is then we're not attached at this point to having a Withered Wand as our primary weapon. So I'm going to put it... no, it always has to be in the primary slot, doesn't it? Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to see if I can... This can be in slot 1. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to see if I can get the focus is the type slot. So I'll keep this over here and then get a focus and use it instead of this Withered Wand. Because right now this Withered Wand is not doing us anything. It's giving us a skill that we don't want it. The thing that's good about Chaos Bolt is it doesn't cost mana, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't cost mana. And Essence Drain, I believe, does. It costs 7 mana. So we may come to a point here where we see that we're running out of mana from using Essence Drain. I don't think so, though. We'll see. We'll give it a shot, see what happens. We're going to Renly. He's going to make us the spikes that we use for the tree. What are we at on this video? Oh, we're at 50 minutes. Let's just call it quits on this video. We'll come back and do more later.